Hey, today's lesson is lesson 19. If you're following with your workbook, maximum freedom. It's about understanding authority in our lives from God's point of view. This is one of the best things I've ever learned in life. It just really helped me make decisions, helped me respect and honor authority, and helped me be successful. People want to be free, and there's two ways to get freedom. There's the world's way, which is you rebel and you get out from an authority. And then there's God's way is you submit and respect authority. If you go in the military and you honor and respect authority, then you'll get promoted and you'll have more freedom. Okay. If you disrespect authority, you'll be put in prison and you won't have much freedom at all. With your parents and at your school, when you honor and you respect authority, you're given more privileges and you're trusted more. But when you rebel against authority, parents tighten up, school officials tighten up on you. And so the way to have the most freedom in life is to honor and respect authority, and it brings a great blessing in your life. Check out what the Bible says. Every person must obey the governing authorities, for there's no authority except from God. Those which exist are established by God. Therefore, he who resists authority has opposed God, and they will be punished. Okay, so here's what we learned from this, four things from this verse here in Romans 13:1. First of all, God sets up authority. All authority is set up by God. Second, to disobey authority is to disobey God. And so when we rebel against authority, we're rebelling against God. Third, obeying authority is an opportunity to show your love for God. So even though we don't like the authority and we want to rebel, but when we submit to it because of God, then it shows that we are loving God. And fourth, the heart of Satanism is rebellion in 1 Samuel 15:23. We are at Camp Elkanah having our FCA retreat, and at night, guys like to get out and wander around and break the rules and raid girl cabins and different things like that. And I don't mind them doing that on a Saturday night, but Friday night I really don't want them to do that. I want them to get a good night's sleep, because Saturday is just a whole full day of teaching and fun stuff that we do. Probably the best day of their lives on Saturday. Sunday, it's just a half day and we go home. So I just really encourage them to get a good night's sleep. So anyway, some people broke the rules and raided a girl's cabin at night and stuff. And so the next morning I said, we had a problem last night at camp. We had some people practicing Satanism, and everyone was on the edge of the seat like, what? You were practicing Satanism? And I quote this verse that, you guys rebelled against the rules and against authority, which is the heart of Satanism. Satan's just an angel that rebelled against God and still has demons roaming the earth and stuff. So rebellion is not of God. Okay, here's the four benefits of obeying authority. First of all, God uses authority to protect us from temptation and Satan. Authority is an umbrella of protection. So in that picture there, the rain and the thunder is temptation from the devil, and authority is an umbrella of protection. So we want to be an umbrella of authority. I'm a principal at a high school. He's under the authority of the school board. Okay, and the school board is under the authority of the voters and the public. As a coach is under authority of the athletic director. The athletic director is under authority of the principal and the school board. But anyway, when you have to make a decision, it's always good to think about the authorities in your life and ask permission to do it. Your parents, like this one guy, he was dating a girl, and the girl's parents didn't want him to date him because of his race, which is really wrong, which is really evil. And the guy was really disappointed and discouraged. And I said, that's really evil. That's really wrong what the parents are saying. But even through that, God can speak through their authority, even though they aren't Christians and stuff. And it was a bad relationship. It was out of God's will. He shouldn't have been dating that girl. When I was going to get married, I was 24 years old, and I went to Karen's parents and asked permission to marry them. To marry her. My son-in-law, Omar, at the age of 22, asked me permission to date my daughter. So he was honoring and respecting authority. You want to be a person of honor, respect and honor authority. This includes little things like, vaping. Maybe vaping is not a big deal, but it's against the law if you're under 21. And so you need to be a person of honor and honor that authority. Usually, if you honor little things in authority, you're going to honor big things. And you're dishonest in little things, you're dishonest in big things. Hey, God also uses authority to build character in your lives. We're a diamond, like we're a rough diamond. You got to chisel away at a diamond. The chisel is authority in our lives, the people that are in our lives, and God has the hammer. He's the one that pounds the hammer. And I had my first year teaching at Benson High School in Portland. I had a vice principal that evaluated me. Your first three years of teaching, you get evaluated a lot. They pop in 3-4 times a year unannounced. They evaluate your teaching and stuff. And he'd come in my room, more than that, and he'd write up stuff like, your pens aren't dark enough. There's a piece of paper in the back of the floor. Just real critical, picky things. And I just really didn't care for him that much. And he was just too picky for me. Then I went to this conference and learned these principles of authority. And then my point of view changed. I thought, the vice principal is just God's messenger in my life to make me better. And so, my whole attitude and fear of him had changed. You might have a coach or a teacher or authority figures in life. God's using them to build character in your life, that someday you'll understand the purpose of stuff. The benefits of obeying authority, okay? It protects us from Satan and temptation. It's an umbrella. It builds character in our lives, gives us authority and guides us in God's will. So if you want to make important decisions, ask your authority figures in life. You might have a pastor or a youth pastor or a spiritual authority in your life, or your parents, and they can help guide you in God's will. It's so important you make right decisions. And then it gives us true freedom. We have much more freedom when we're under authority. Stuff that rebels against authority is not God's will, unless it asks us to disobey God. Okay, here's his 4 sources of authority in your life. First of all, your parents. Your parents have authority over life. Even when you're 21 and out of the house, you're not under their authority anymore, but they still can give you good advice, and God can speak through that advice, even if they're not Christians. Teachers, school rules, your coaches, your employers, they have authority of your life, and you should honor and respect them. The more honor and you respect your teachers, your coaches, and your employers, the more freedom you'll have. Here's an example. I'm teaching and someone wants to go to the bathroom and they're gone for 20 minutes. Well, they weren't in the bathroom for 20 minutes. All right. They took advantage of it. So what do? I tighten up on them. Next time they go, I time them. They got 3 minutes, or I won't let them go next time. Or if I want someone to run an errand for me, I'm not going to choose them. They're not going to have the freedom to run an errand. Okay. The government and the law. We should obey the law and the government. A lot of people think, well, is it wrong to smoke marijuana? Well, if you're 21 years old, or if you're not 21 years old, it's against the law. So it's not right. Same with vaping. If you're faithful in little things, you'll be faithful in big things. If you're dishonest in little things, you're going to be dishonest in big things, and you'll lose God's blessing in your life. Spiritual leaders, you should have a pastor or a youth pastor in your life, people you look up to spiritually. And, if sometimes they might ask you to do something against God's will, which will very seldom ever happen, but usually they give you wisdom and advice, and you should look for them to guide us. So you should honor those authority figures in your life. Check out this verse here. Let me I'm kind of blocking it here. It says, 1 Peter 2:13-17, submit yourselves for the Lord's sake. For whose sake? Not your sake, the Lord's sake, to every human institution, whether the king, the one as one in authority, or the governor is sent by him, for those that punish the evildoers and praise those who do right. For such is the will of God. By doing right, you may silence the ignorance of foolish men. So it's God's will that you honor authority. The second part to the verse. Honor all people, all people. This is part of the verse here in 1 Peter. Love the brotherhood, fear God, honor the king. Servants, be submissive to your masters. Okay, we're servants. We have masters if we have a job, or we're in school, or students. Be submissive to your masters with all respect, not only those who are good and gentle, but those who are unreasonable. So if you have a job and you don't like the employer, the boss, you can still show honor and respect because of your honor and respect for the Lord. And you should pray for them. If you don't like the president, but God says we should pray for the king, then we should pray for the president. Okay, so when can we disobey authority or ignore it? We must obey God rather than men. Peter and John were preaching the gospel and sharing the good news as after Jesus rose from the dead, and the Roman Empire tried to stop it. They whipped him and put him in prison. And they said they command them not to preach in the name of Jesus. It says we must obey God rather than men. So when there's a conflict, you obey God. So here's an example. There's a guy in Seattle, a football coach, who prayed for the football team all the time and on the field before games. He got told not to because it's against the law, which is against the law. He should have, my advice to him is get a student to do it. If student leads it, initiates, it's illegal and stuff. So I think he should obey the authorities there, and he should get another student to do it, just to do plan B. Another example is a football player who was captain of the football team. During the summer, he's going to go on a mission trip with his youth group, and it was the same time as football camp. And the football coach put tremendous pressure on him to skip the mission trip and go to the football camp. And he chose to go on the mission trip, and the football coach put a lot of unreasonable pressure on him. He talked to me, he talked to his parents, just undue pressure. And the parents said, leave him alone, it's his decision. And the coach's response is, well, we got to find someone else to be captain. We got to find someone else to play your position and stuff. I really think that coach put a curse upon him. He wasn't successful at all after that, and ended up leaving after a couple of years and stuff. But if you have an employer that asks you to be dishonest or to cheat or to lie or do something like that, don't obey him. Be a person of honor. God will bless you for it. So quick review here. 4 things that are true about authority. God has established his authority. To disobey authority is to disobey God. Obeying authority is an opportunity to show your love for God, even if you don't like the authority figure. The heart of Satanism is rebellion. We don't want to rebel. The 4 benefits of obeying authority. God uses authority to protect us from temptation and Satan. Authority is an umbrella of protection. Be under that umbrella and God will bless you. He uses to build character in life, that chisel and that hammer, and we're a diamond that needs chiseling away. God uses authority to guide us in his will. That helps me so much in determining God's will for summer jobs and different things like that. And it gives true freedom. You get promoted, you get honor, and you have more liberty. The more your parents trust you, the more a person of honor you are, the more freedom you're going to have. The 4 sources of authority in your life is your parents, teachers, coaches, employers, the government, the law, and your spiritual leaders in your life. Okay, I hope you apply this to your life and fill out this sheet here if you have one, and be a doer of the word, and how does this apply your life? What is God saying to you? And girls, if you're dating a guy and he doesn't honor and respect authority and is dishonest in little things, guess what? He's going to be dishonest to you eventually. And same thing with you guys. If a girl lies to her parents and she's deceptive and she doesn't honor and respect authority, then there's going to be problems in the future. Man, when you honor and you respect authority out of your love for God, it brings blessing to your life. It brings guidance to your life. So I hope this was helpful to you. I hope you review it and make it real in your life.